What would the oh Jesus, here we go. Every time I use this phone, I cover the camera. What would the results though in your business look like if you did something consistently over the next 365 days, over the next year? I'm not trying to be cliche with the whole like 2020 is around the corner type thing, but in the sales training that I'm doing with the client right now, we're working with like just not the effect of compounding interest, but the compound effect. There's a book about it. I want to say it's Ed Hardy or Jeff Hardy or somebody. There's a book called The Compounding Effect, and it talks about like what consistent action can you take that over the long term builds and scales same way as compounding interest. And like, so with the training we're doing, I like to break everything down from a marketing and sales standpoint of how can you create a money machine with your business. So for example, for DipLab and for Summit, I know that if I spend $1 in ads, I net $14 profit after marketing after every $1,000 I spend, let's say. Same thing with Summit. Every $70 I spend, I make on average about $900 profit. So if I know that, and same thing with trading, I know that if I'm right 34% of the time, and 2 out of my 5 trades are right, if I lose 100, but if I win, I make 200. At a minimum, every 5 trades, I'll make what, $100? Something like that. The math's on my computer. But the point is, aside from asymmetrical risk reward, over the long haul, I can create a money machine out of it. So in the training I'm doing with a salesperson in a MLM company is they just started making a certain number of phone calls per day. The goal was make X amount of phone calls per day. Did that for a week straight. I said, okay, now how many phone calls have you made total? Got that number. Let's say it's 100 for easy math. And I said, okay, how many meetings did you close out of that? And let's say they said they got 10 meetings, not including people they got to follow up with, because then the number just goes up and all of the money in business and in marketing and sales even is in the follow-up. The CRM is the big, if you get one key out of this video, you need to increase the fuck out of your CRM. But that's beside the point. So if they know that every 100 phone calls they make, and if they make, let's say they make whatever that comes out to, 8.5 a day or what, 12 a day or something, 12 times 7, 70 plus 4, no, 12 to 13 a day, whatever. But let's say they're making 100 phone calls a week. They know that they need to make X amount per day, and out of that 100 calls, they'll set meetings with 10%, and out of that 10% of meetings, they'll close 1%. So they close 1% of their initial calls, not including follow-up. But if they know that they make $100 profit, let's say, on that one deal, it's purely a math game now. How can I make less calls, so less than 100 calls, and close a higher percentage? Or at a minimum, every 100 calls I make $100. So it's like $1 per call. So then it's just purely a game of still having a high quality call and kicking it back into like, it's purely a numbers game. It's purely math. Same thing I do with the marketing stuff. Same thing I do with the trading. If I know that over the long term, my strategy is successful, it's very easy, but you have to do the daily disciplines. So like people, let's say if you're in the music industry, if you're not posting, if you're in any industry, any business, let's say, for simplicity, any business that needs marketing, if you're not marketing it every single day, you're losing out on the compounding and the consistency over the long term. If you're in sales and you're not making the sales call every single day, you're losing it out over the long term. Something in physics talks about like an object in motion tends to stay in motion. So when you get the ball rolling, like it's a lot easier to compound off that every day you stop. Same thing with drinking alcohol when you're going to the gym. There's a billion things you can correlate this to. The point of the video, the entire premise of the video is though, the daily disciplines are what, and this is something I've really not struggled with, but I've been able to pick up on mostly a lot this year. And it's made an impact because instead of saying, okay, I want to make, let's say for whatever, let's say I want to make $1 million this year or whatever the number is. Instead of looking at that long-term goal, everybody talks about trust the process, trust the journey, enjoy the journey like Gary Vee talks about. Instead of looking at that $1 million and saying I want to make the million, what would that take on a daily basis to do? That's $83,000 a month. I don't even know the math on the daily, which is bad because if I want to do that in a year, I should know that number. But what are the daily disciplines that you need to do to hit those goals? You want to make $100,000 a year. It's $833 a month. It's like $310 or something a day, I think. So how do you make that $310? How many calls do you have to make that $310? How much money do you have to spend on ads to make that $310? How many stocks do you have to trade to make that, or options or whatever, like futures, do you have to trade to make that $310? How many products do you have to sell to make that $310? How many subscriptions do you have to get? Like there's a billion. How many streams do you have to get if you're in music? How many emails do you have to send out if you're in in like real estate or insurance or whatever the heck you're doing, it all compounds and it's all purely a math game. It's very, very simple, but the difficult part that's not easy is doing it on a daily basis. There's my take for the day. This is Josh Elbow. If you have a specific business or finance question, probably the best way to get a hold of me is DM me on Instagram at @TheJoshElbow. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you got. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I got a couple coaching program options. If I say pay me $1,000 and I'll show you how to make $5 every day of the week, that's my value exchange. That's the way I look at it. And everybody who's in business, I think, would take that deal every day of the week. So there's my proposal to you. Thanks for watching. I'll see everyone in the next video.